Weasel News.
Breaking news.
Excessive and repeated masturbation without release. Some local citizens are raving about meth. Weasel News spoke to this woman.
Do you mind? I'm trying to give head here. All that shit they say about meth is bullshit. Meth is great. I could turn tricks for 48 hours straight.
Incredible. What will they think of next? Jenny Acorn, under the Algonquin Bridge. Stay alert, people.
Antiwork. This was going to be the big thing before Ralph decided to get his fucking teeth smashed. I'm going to watch this interview with you guys for the first time. I've seen a little bit of it, but it's 3 minutes long, and I did not watch it all the way through. So we're actually going to take a peek. We're gonna watch this together, chat, all the way through. I'm not good at cringe. I'm very bad at handling cringe, which may surprise people, but okay, so to give you the gist, a rundown, there is a board on Reddit called Antiwork, believe it or not. And Antiwork is what used to be a board dedicated to like penny pinching and making money through odd jobs, but over time it became like an anti-capitalist, like, I don't even know what to call it. It's basically like anti-capitalist in the U.S. But more, that's not even fair. It's like it's split down the middle. It's one part is anti-capitalist, and the other part is work reform. They are people who work long hours. They have no benefits. They're treated like shit by their managers, and they believe that they should be treated better. And the other half is like retards who don't believe that work as a concept should exist and everything should be paid for by billionaires who get their surplus from thin air. So they held a poll and they said, we have been contacted by Fox News, and Fox News would like to talk to someone to represent our movement on Jesse Waters. And they held a poll, and the proletariat of the anti-work board said, don't send anyone. Are you fucking stupid? Are you fucking stupid? Do not send anyone to talk to Fox News. They are going to assassinate you at best. Like, that's it. So the Janny Trannies of the anti-work board said, actually, I have a degree in political science. I have been active in politics for 8 years as I've ran this anti-work board, and I'm going to go take Fox News head on, and this is the results of it.
Over 1.6 million subscribers. Joining me now is the person who operates this anti-work group, Doreen Ford. All right, so Doreen, why do you like the idea of being home, not working, but still getting paid by corporate America?
Yeah, so there's some misconceptions about the movement. So we're a movement where we want to reduce the amount of work that people feel like they're forced to do. And so we want to still put in effort, we want to put in labor, but we don't want to necessarily be in a position where we feel trapped. You know, you just quoted from Office Space, where that person feels very trapped in their job. I think we're...
So, like, just notice already that this guy is obviously a man in lipstick. He looks terrible. He's in his shitty little room in bad lighting with a bad webcam, and he can't even look into the camera. Like, he's too autistic to look into the camera. Jesse Waters has, like, this unbroken gaze staring him directly down, and the Janny Tranny is just, like, frozen, looking aside in shame. So I don't know how this person ever thought that he would have the capacity to, like, make a good impression on old people watching Fox News. Like, what? Why did this person think that he was the woman for the job, right? Why?
Calling for a society where there's less of that. But yeah, absolutely, people still want to do things. They just want to do things where they feel rewarded and they feel like they're in a good spot in their life, and that their job respects them and stuff like that. You know, there's varying.
So Doreen, but you're not being forced to work. This isn't slave labor. You've applied for a job. You've agreed to the terms and conditions of the employment. And, you know, you can walk away from that job at any time and quit. So I don't understand really what this is about, except it sounds like maybe people are just being lazy. Are you encouraging people to be lazy?
So I think laziness is a virtue in a society where people constantly want you to be productive 24/7.
Laziness is a virtue. That's profound. Yes, our movement is about being lazy. That's like, okay, I get that what he's trying to do is like the meme, like are you trying to encourage people to be lazy, and it's like an angry chud on the left-hand side, and then it's like the noble anarchist on the right-hand side going, yes, laziness is a virtue. Unfortunately, I don't think laziness is a virtue in any society ever. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that there's ever been a religion or culture where laziness, like being a burden on society, has ever been extolled as like a virtue. Maybe in Greece.
And it's good to have rest. That doesn't mean you should be resting all the time or not putting effort into things that you care about. But I think one of the
what do you think is like a good work day? How many hours is you know, a solid work day in your ideal society?
Sure. I mean, I think as much as people want. I mean, I personally work. I have like a 25 hour work weeks, which I think is fairly good. So I would like less work hours.
And what do you do, Doreen?
Why do people keep saying Montenegro? The Montenegrin commandments? There's a maybe that's a racist thing. I think you guys are bullshitting. They're being subtly racist. Waters asks him, what does he do for a living? And he replies,
oh, I'm a dog walker.
He's a dog walker. So he works through an app, basically. And I think he says he works like 20 hours a week, and that's like enough for him.
A dog walker. Okay.
Yes.
And how?
So
how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay. And is there something you want to do besides being a dog walker? Do you aspire to do anything more than dog walking, or is that kind of your pinnacle?
I've never seen Jesse Waters before because I don't watch fucking cable, but he sounds like the counselor from South Park, dog walker. Okay, do you want to do anything more than be a dog walker? Okay.
I love working with dogs. If I had to do this for the rest of my life, you know, I wouldn't be super complaining. You know, dogs are wonderful animals. But I would love to teach. I would love to work with people and stuff like that.
What would you teach, Doreen?
Philosophy mostly. Just introduction to philosophy, critical thinking, reason, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I would love to take your class, Doreen. I would just be taking notes the whole time. And you know what? A professor's a very similar schedule than something that you're imagining. I think that actually might work perfectly.
He plays into like so many of the stereotypes that Fox News wants. Like, first of all, they want to portray all socialists as lazy. Boom, right off the bat, laziness is a virtue. And then he's like, okay, well, what do you do? Like, okay, you think that you're like a leader of like a movement. Well, what's your background? I walk dogs. I have no education. I have no aspirations. Or no, sorry, he does have aspirations. Like, what do you actually do? What are you educated in? And it's like, nothing. I do nothing. And he's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to be a teacher. And that's like strike three. Oh, this person who does nothing, knows nothing, and thinks laziness is a virtue wants to be in our education system, which is also demonized by Fox News. They really could not find a better like freak to prop up to like strawman their enemies. And the really funny thing about it is that Fox News didn't like intentionally go fishing to find like the biggest retard possible to represent anti-work. Though, I mean, I guess if you like, someone was arguing in the thread about it. It's like, if you really wanted to interview people who are frustrated with like the job system, you could just ask nurses and shit. But instead they go to Reddit because they know anyone that Reddit sends them is going to be a retard. But I mean, it's not like they had like a lineup of like 10 candidates and they picked the worst one. They asked the Reddit to send their best, and this is what they got.
For you, listen, I think this might not be the greatest idea, but who am I to judge? To each their own, they say. It's a free country.
Sure.
Not everything's free,
you know.
but it is a free country. Thank you so much.
Sure.
We got to run. We got to pay the bills.
It's funny. Someone says that yes, they did. They asked for this guy, but the moderators said otherwise. The moderators said in his defense in the aftermath that this was the person that they decided collectively they would send to Fox News. You know what's sad is that I feel like I could better represent what they want. You know, it wouldn't be necessarily like there's a lot of things that you see on the board and you're just like, yeah, fuck them. Like that's the entire point of like a voluntary system where labor is in demand, is like bosses like, okay, if you, I'm very like for not going to offices. Like if you can work online from home, you should be able to. That should be a thing afforded to most people unless their job requires them there. But it's like managers shouldn't be allowed to treat people like shit. Why would people like some of the stuff you see them posting about, like their managers are telling them and how they talk to them, and the videos of people like freaking out at like low wage staff. It's just like, yeah, fuck that. But then you get people like, we need more immigrants and sex work. Oh, they're anti-work, but they're pro-sex work, which is like hilarious. And I don't understand where these morals get decided. Like, why do the working class have to care about trannies? Why do they have to like care about prostitutes being allowed to whore themselves out on the internet and in real life? Why are they like pro-drug and stuff? It's hard to like ever support people like that, because you read the other things that they're in favor of, and it's like, actually, you know what? You're kind of retarded, and I don't want anything to do with you. To be honest with you, all work is sex work. That's a hot take. A 40-hour sex week. So this happens, and of course, people are naturally furious. This is the reaction. NetK2 says needed to look in the camera, and he says, I have a tough time with that being autistic. Someone says, I'm curious, did you offer for an interview with the other mods beforehand? Did you all decide you were the best person to represent the subreddit on Fox News? If so, this might have been slightly misguided, no offense. And he says that the interview was given to the mods via mod mail, and they specifically asked for me. Oh, I guess I was wrong. I shared that with other mods, and they all agreed that I was never mind. I shared that with other mods, and they all agreed that I was probably the best to do because I've done other media. Someone replies, why in the holy shit balls would you agree to that? I fucking hate that asshole, but I looked it up, and he chewed you and spit you out. More press for the movement, and they were going to air the segment either way, as far as I know. At least someone was there to contradict the narrative. But he didn't. He contradicted absolutely nothing about what people might think about an anti-work board. He just said, yeah, actually, I agree. Being lazy as fuck is awesome. And I want to teach your kids to be lazy little shits, too, if I can. And I'll teach your dogs to be lazy little shits. I'm not going to walk them. Walking is exploitation of the working class dog. I'm just going to sit that motherfucker on a park bench and take your money, bitch. Well, okay. What I get more from this sub is people wanting to be treated fairly by their employers and not treated like pieces of trash just to make them money. He flat out said it was just a bunch of lazy people that didn't work at all but wanted to get paid. Maybe I'm wrong here, but that's what I see this sub for. He's paid to paint pictures, so I don't doubt that. Mad respect for your courage. So he says, I'm not sure if it's courage or foolishness, but thank you. So the board freaks out. They say that this guy was a retard. This picture on the left is like what they used to, like, if you post on poll, that's what the left thinks that you look like, but he literally looks just like the Chud meme, which is pretty funny. It makes it look like a little bit of projection, maybe. The slap fight builds up, and in case you don't know, the user Antiwork was like a owner mod of the whole Reddit. So when people start misgendering him because he seriously hurt their entire like shtick, he bans them and says, I was banned for misgendering, which you just he says, no, banned for misgendering me, which you just did again. He says, you sucked at your interview. And the person from the interview says, to summarize a complicated philosophy in seconds on live television with someone you know has the exact opposite ideas from you. They say he did damage. He says that he's lying on TV. Basically, it goes back and forth. So, Fox News wanted to do a segment on furries because that thing happened that I mentioned either last Friday or last Tuesday about Ron DeSantis applying a drag queen ban that a furry convention then applied to minors at itself, just for like legal purposes, for the sake of protecting themselves as much as possible. They weren't directly ordered by Ron DeSantis to not allow children, but their lawyers advised them to make it an 18+ event. So Fox News wanted to do a story on this, and they reached out to a popular furry within the furry community and said, hello, would you like to do an interview on Fox News Ulu? This is, of course, translated into furry so that they could understand them. This person then put out a poll. The Thai Slade says, I've been asked to do a 5-minute live interview in fursuit with, they make sure you wear that fucking suit. That's the advertising dollar right there, boy. With Jesse Waters on Fox, addressing the recent bill 1438 by Ron DeSantis and the new policy decision by Megaplex to exclude minors from attending this year. Should I do it or should I decline? Please comment. 100 people voted, of which 2/3 of them voted not to do this interview because this is obviously a terrible idea. There is no way that he would not just be reduced to a laughing stock on live national television. But he's a furry, and the furries love anything more than internet memes and pornography. It is attention. So with the promise of being on television, he dons his fursuit and shows up. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. Shows up on television.
Furries? They're a group of people who dress up in costume and pretend to be animals. They like to go to conventions, kind of like a Comic-Con, except everyone's dressed up like the Philly Fanatic. I guess this is just good, clean fun. Different strokes for different folks and all, but there's also a sexual undercurrent at the events. Some of it gets like, you know, well, watch out for the guy with the paddle.
I want to get sold by the school.
So now, thanks to DeSantis' new law, kids are not allowed to go to an upcoming furry convention in Florida.
Okay. Meet the furry.
We now turn it over to a real-life furry, David Kanaska, to respond. All right, David,
Just the audacity to put this on television is great.
how old are you?
I'm 32.
And what are you supposed to be dressed up as here?
Well, currently, I'm a raccoon.
And why are you dressed up as a raccoon?
Well, isn't it fun?
You should have just said, you asked me to. I thought he was a fox, so I named all these videos Fox on Fox, because I thought that was clever. Now that I know that he's just a raccoon, he doesn't look like a raccoon. It looks like they probably have like the same animal base for all their suits, and they just dress it up differently, because that looks way more like a fox costume than a raccoon. He didn't spring for the expensive model. That's the they do use the base. Yeah, I'm right. I know I'm right. Look at that. That's a fox. Look at those ears. Those are like fox ears. That's not like a raccoon ear at all.
Well, I mean, you're also great at spankings. Did you see the video we just played? What's going on with the spankings at the furry conventions?
Well, there's a popular restaurant called the Habra House, and this is a restaurant that is pretty close to one of the conventions that we set up every year. And at the Habra House, it's customary in Germanic tradition to, I guess, slap the asses of all of the patrons. I don't know why.
I didn't know the Germans were into that kind of kink, but there's a lot I don't know. So why do you want kids around people dressed up as squirrels getting spanked?
Okay.
Me personally, I don't. I think that it's definitely an adult-only environment for that. The furry conventions themselves don't have anything to do with that, though.
I would like to take a second to show you this map of furries in Western Europe, or in Europe as a whole. You may notice that in the West German, is very specifically West Germany too. In West Germany, there appears to be a congregation of dots indicating furries. And in East Germany, there is fewer. I won't say none. There's fewer. You may also note that the Czech Republic, also now called Czechia, has managed to avoid the infiltration Even though the Sudetenland is surrounded by the foe, the Czech Republic has made a valiant last stand and is repelling the enemy forces to the last man. The dog people shall be kept at bay. Slovakia, however, they are furry collaborationists. Under Tizo in his fox costume, they have collaborated directly with the furry Germans and are now an enemy to the Czechia state. Croatia based. I mean, look at Serbia. There's like one guy in Belgrade that hasn't gotten his ass kicked yet. There's a couple in Romania. The UK, there's also a very fine like Hadrian's Wall between Scotland and the UK. I don't know, maybe Scots aren't that bad, but Edinburgh is gone, North Ireland is gone. Even that's also funny that Northern Ireland has a bunch of furries, but but Ireland proper has fewer, except in Dublin, which is a shithole. This also proves that the Dutch are definitely German, and so are the Austrians. Austria and the Dutch can just go back into the Holy Roman Empire, the Holy Furry Empire. But Belgium and Luxembourg are going to the French. This also proves that Alsace-Lorraine is rightful French territory. They are not nearly as furry as the Germans right across the border. So the French can keep Alsace-Lorraine. Yeah, this is actually probably the most effective way to divide Europe. Czech Republic, not German. Netherlands, German. Austria, German. Alsace-Lorraine, French. Belgium, French. Just divide it along these lines, and we've got this figured out. However, maybe Corsica and the other one, Sardinia. Corsica and Sardinia. They can be independent from Italy. They have managed to keep the infection at bay. Good stuff. Okay, let's continue with the furry on Fox.
Okay, do you blame yourself at all for being misunderstood? I mean, you're the one dressed up as a raccoon.
Oh, absolutely. I think that this is absolutely crazy and weird and fun. And that's the point. I think, it's supposed to gain attention. I like being on stage. I like performing as a character. I like bringing joy to people.
Okay.
That's why
if I came to one of your conventions,
of
David, or maybe we sent Johnny to the convention, what should we dress up as?
Fox.
You can dress up however you want. We've had Jack Sparrow.
Fox, it's right there. Fox.
Show up. We've had all kinds of different animals. What kind of animal do you think you would be?
Probably a dinosaur. David?
A dinosaur. I like that.
He's a scaly.
I gotta run.
Call him a scaly.
Good luck. And don't sweat too much.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much.
Jesse Waters about to get spanked in his scaly costume. His cameraman's going to be dressed up in a fox recording it. That's funny. The furries were not at all amused by this, by the way. Do I not have... Oh no, sorry, jump scare. That's something that's coming up. Where the fuck is my reaction to this? I downloaded like 8 different images of furry reactions to this content, and don't have it. Okay, I'll just read it from the other screen because I still have it up. Vitaly Slade actually replied to people criticizing him for doing this interview, saying, "There were many factors that played into my decision. 1, I have experience with 2 different newspapers and an NPR broadcast. 2, I have been in the furry fandom for over 15 years, so I've been around the block a few times. And 3, I am in the top 10% of the country in regards to IQ. So you see this man right here in this costume. This is definitely not a fox repurposed to a raccoon costume. This man is a genius. He's got an IQ of like top 10% of the US. That's probably about a 96. I mean, he's up there, man. He's up there. He knows how to handle himself. Don't doubt him. So a furry criticizes him and says, studies have shown that IQ scores are meaningless. This guy probably puts his IQ on a resume just so we know he's full of shit. An interview on Fox News about furries and DeSantis is bad enough without finding out that they're dumb. They're a dumb crypto shill and an anti-vaccine COVID denier. I have to take it all back. My boy, 100% coon. He's got those coon genetics. He knows how to take his little paws and grab all the crypto shekels, and he knows that he's a pure blood. Say no to the vaccine, says the raccoon. Secretly trying to make me like this guy. Notorious Yote says, you should be ashamed of yourself. Vitaly Slade replies saying, what should I be ashamed of? Pray tell. Yote replies saying, for putting people going to Megaplex in danger by going on a news site that is against LGBT individuals and giving us a bigger target on our back. Don't trust the dinosaur and the fox. That's all I got to say. Keep them away from the secret sex dungeon that you bring the kids to. Soba the Shiba says that Jesse Waters segment implied that furries were grooming children. Furries fall under the umbrella as queer, according to conservatives, and are going to have to deal with the same rhetoric. We are so close to being a culture war issue. Why did you agree to the interview? That is true. I mean, they would have found somebody else probably. Because how hard is it to find an attention whore in a costume willing to talk on Fox News? Furries would be great for the culture war. I fully support expanding the acronym to the LGBTFIAP+, because they're very easy targets. Carrie Calendras says, I'm literally embarrassed to have ever known you. Holy shit, dude. Learn how not to feed into our rhetoric and flip the questions around before ever doing an interview again. Better yet, don't accept any interviews from Fox News. You gave them every single soundbite they could want. By the way, Carrie Calendras has a kind of display picture. There's a name for this when they're like bright neon. They look like radioactive and shit. I don't know what you call that. There's like a special word for it though, like a glow furry or some shit. Let me know in the chat. I'm kind of curious. Sparkle Dog. That's it. That's it. Rabid copy. That's very rabid. Knows about furry shit. Suspicious. Libby Dodo for I'm not reading super chats. It said 18 after. It says like it has like the no minors icon, like the 18 crossed out, and I saw Libby Dodo and the number 18. I thought that was like a donation amount, so my brain was hardwired to read it as a donation. I had to stop myself. I genuinely don't know I genuinely don't know why you're so far up your own arse that the furry fetish community wouldn't draw porn of it, or you're just so blatantly unaware of the damage you've caused for your own ego. You're the new Reddit anti-work mod of this year, and I hope your life peaks here. And Charon finally, it says, finally, you are exiled from the fandom. We don't want you or your partner here any longer. You are to be shunned, and I do hope you face consequences on your actions. I curse you to endure tenfold what you've done in ignorance, only to have peace when you've learned. So, unfortunately for our boy, the coon, he has been sentenced in Roman furry court to relegatio, and he is no longer invited to partake in the spankings and child candy events at the MegaCon, Mexicon. Very sad. And yeah, curse Yehameha too, to really top it all off. This guy's life is fucked up now. Sad, but true.
This is Weasel News.